Hello, everyone. Welcome back to Your Lift with Auntie Sheila. Yes, we are all connected. It's just wonderful, as always, to connect with you. I really felt compelled to do a part two video of the slap. You know, the slap heard around the world. This is a different kind of video because what I want to do with all of you is process the takeaways. Let's process this now. Let's heal from it and let's move on even stronger. You know, I'm not into pop culture necessarily, getting into all the salacious details about, Will and Jada, all this stuff. But what I am going to do in this video, because I've had a lot of back and forth with many of you just about how this has impacted you. It's impacted me as well, more so than than I would have imagined. You know, people have said, Sheila, my head popped up in the middle of the night. I'm having my lunch during the day and I'm thinking about this stuff. There's nothing wrong with that. You know, we're human beings. I wish we would talk about process work more often, how it really looks to deal with an issue when it comes up. Most of us have suffered from secondary trauma around this issue, and what we should be teaching regularly in school, we've got the reading, writing, and arithmetic covered. We need to be talking about how to process circumstances, how to process emotions, get the most out of it and heal. So in essence, what we're doing today, we're going to extract the juice. Okay, we're going to extract the juice. We're kind of like juicers here. And we can leave all the rind, the pulp, all that behind. But we want to take the best information that we can from this incident and then synthesize it into our own life resilience maps, which you've heard me talk about often. We all need a plan to survive out here. So I want to go over some key takeaways from the slap heard around the world. Again, what I'm doing is not going into the innards with, Will, Jada, their lifestyle relationship, but what they have put on full display for the world to see. They're very out here on social media, the videos. So I'm constantly somewhat perplexed and surprised myself by people who are so vocal, and then these reactions to jokes and commentary that people make on their lives. When you put it out here for consumption, that's what people will do, is consume. So having said that, I will say this. There's 4 takeaways that I want us to pay very close attention to, because this whole episode is just filled. Honestly, I could go over 30 or 40 different lessons. I'm just going over 4 out of respect for your time. I know you enjoy the channel. I enjoy it too, sharing with you, but we do have things we need to get to. So number 1 is, listen, know what kind of relationship you're in and the impact that it's going to have on you. That's what I want you all to pay attention to, not just your romantic relationship, relationships with family, relationship with friends. Know what kind of relationship you're in. And I say again, the impact it has on you. Now let's pick this apart a little bit. It's very clear to me that night, I said this in the first video, there's something that was bothering Will Smith. Is very evident. And it wasn't just a joke, because he was laughing at it first. If I was a betting woman, I would be willing to say the wear and tear, the emotional wear and tear of the arrangement, the setup that him and Jada have arranged in this marriage. It's an open marriage. Now, that's not conjecture. That's not me making stuff up. It's on the record. And evidently, it's not as smooth It's not as smooth as perhaps they would have the world community think. Again, I'm commenting on things that have been put out here for consumption. Now, many times I've shared my opinion, my humble opinion. It's a spiritually based opinion that the exotic relationships, I'm not a fan of those. I don't subscribe to the exotic relationships. I never have. And let me tell you why. Let me tell you why. I look at things now more than ever. And if you want to understand more about my philosophies, I encourage you to look up the work of Emanuel Swedenborg. Get some of his books, Heaven and Hell. The channel that features his work is called Off the Left Eye here on YouTube. The states of life and states of mind, it runs on a continuous cycle. Some of us, we are in a state that we're in a single state. Some of us are happily single. Others, I'm single. I'm making my way. I want to be in a relationship, a committed relationship. Some folks are somewhere in between. Some people are in committed relationships or marriages. Some of those are very happy. Some of those are not. But I want to talk about respect for one another and respecting the state of life that you're in. Again, it can look different for a lot of people, but one of the reasons that these exotic arrangements blow back on folks is this: when you're talking about raising your hand, I'm in a committed relationship, and then you take it to the highest level. Okay, I'm in a marital state, the state of marriage, a committed marriage relationship. You raised your hand, you took your vows, and God's name is in those vows for a reason, because he's sitting in the center of that relationship. And you can say what you want about marriage, being single. I was single for many years. I got married later in life. There were parts of my single life that I loved, I adored. I had a fabulous time. And then there were parts, quite frankly, there's beauty and there's challenges to any state that we're in. There's parts that really were challenging and difficult. And you can just watch my YouTube videos, because a lot of that is cataloged here for you. Now, with committed relationship, with a married relationship, there is an aspect, and this is a spiritual aspect, where when you raise your hand and you come on board to enter that state, just by default, and we don't discuss this enough, but spiritually what you're saying is, I'm going to give a part of myself over to something that is larger than me, something that is for the greater good. So that means, yes, you're going to have some blissful moments and high times as you're in a committed relationship, and there's challenges that can come along with that. You're going to experience, wow, one of the benefits when you're single, that you have access to variety, a variety of people, personalities, whatever the case may be. Now, when you're in a committed state, or when you're in a married state, that's not the case. You've raised your hand and say, you know what I'm focused on is making my union, taking my walk with this individual the very best that it can be. There's going to be moments where, oh my God, I love this connection, this camaraderie, this cocooning, particularly if you're blessed enough to be in a committed relationship with someone who is positive, supportive, warm, and lovely. Thank you, God, for Mr. Kiss. I feel very grateful. Now, at the end of the day, when you raise your hand, as Will and Jada have done, say, well, she said, I wanted more freedom. Okay. Well, now you've opened up your marriage and you have more freedom, and you've had your fun, whatever the case may be. The issue there is you have turned intimate energy, that energy of bonding, connection, which is the sanctitude, the sanctity of the relationship. You place that energy outward. It's going to someone other than your significant other. They call it the significant other because this person is raised up above all others. In a healthy relationship, this person is raised up as a priority. This is where the lion's share, certainly my physical intimacy, there's a sanctity around that, the friendship, the emotional intimacy. And when you open up that inner sanctum, why are everyone surprised that someone's going to get hurt? Heavy feelings come in. Betrayal. I mean, I've been doing this work for a long time. This is year number 27, and I have had more than one individual say to me, Sheila, I thought this was a good idea. I don't think I'm going to be able to work through this. And I have to tell you that this is, I talk about clinical things, spiritual things on this channel. Is very robust, but I've not seen two people who are truly committed and they turn towards the wellspring in that relationship, the hand of God gets in the mix. I've seen people come back from some tough stuff. But when your solution is, I'm bored, I want some more excitement, I want to do this, that, and the other, you've really opened up the inner sanctum. That's sacred territory. So, that's my little soapbox about commitment, marriage, all of that, respecting the state of life, the state of mind that you're in. And I can hear someone saying, oh, well, who are you, Sheila, to say that this is how someone needs to be married? Let me tell you something. I'm giving you the information as I've lived it, as I've seen it, as I've discerned it. You have to make the decisions for yourself. I'm here to give you a buffet platter. Take what is relevant and makes sense. And I can tell you what I've seen, discerned, witnessed, researched. These exotic arrangements are a recipe for disaster. And you have to know who you are and what kind of relationship you're in and the impact that is going to have on you. And I believe that their arrangement, which is out here in the open, has taken a toll on the family, has taken a toll on them. All that vital energy that you are putting into cultivating the relationship on the side. I guess some people call it progressive love, progressive. I don't see anything progressive about it. I think if you are, this relationship has run its course, I don't have that for you anymore. Those feelings, rather than compromise one another, perhaps we need to go our own separate ways. And guess what? If you want kind of variety and what have you, there's a word for that. It's called single, being free. But I've seen this really do a number on folks. So outside of romantic relationships, no, even the friendships, the people you invite into your life. As I've gotten older, I just pay very close attention to energy levels. I pay close attention to balance. And I always ask myself, how do I feel? It's a very baseline question. How do I feel? How does my spirit feel in the presence of this individual? How is this relationship unfolding? Is there gratitude and appreciation that goes back and forth? Are they easy to talk to? Am I dealing with a judgmental person? Is there negativity? Pay attention to the impact that it has on you. I have a 9-year-old daughter, and we talk a lot about her friendships and kind of what she's going through. You say, well, Mommy, every time, this one I'm playing with them and, I end up crying. I said, well, sweetheart, let's think about this. Does that seem like a good friendship, a happy friendship, where you end up in tears and where there's always some conflict? We have to look at that. And we talked about it, and, she'll say, Mommy, I took your advice and I played with some different friends. I had fun. We were laughing the whole time. Bingo. You know, and paying attention to how you're feeling in a person's presence. You know, it's something we go on automatic pilot so often in these relationships. I'm inviting everyone to get aware. Let's put our thinking caps on, our feeling caps on. I also want to say something about just taking a few steps back. Um, I would be remiss if I didn't mention the power of working through conflict in a relationship. A lot of people, they turn outward. One thing goes wrong, turns outward. There's not a friendship that I've had. You know, if it's a true friendship, it's going to be tested. And can we talk through this? Can we work through this? Every time I've worked through something with a friendship, my marriage, it gets stronger and stronger. The solution is not always to turn outward. You know, if you're constantly having to do that, you may want to look at something different altogether. Maybe you need to exit the relationship altogether. So the next thing, the takeaway that I'd invite everyone to do some process work. Think about when you're doing process work, get your pen and paper out, write down how you feel about it. I talk to all of you a lot about emptying out. Empty this stuff out. Light a candle. That's what I do every day. Light a candle. Speak out loud. Get your thoughts organized and arranged so you can process and get it outside of you. The second piece is mental health does not respect money or status. Mental health does not respect your good looks, does not respect your family's positioning, doesn't respect any of that. Your successful career, all roads lead back to mental health. Now, I talked about this in the first video. Will Smith, very talented. No one can deny that. Jada Smith, talented actress, multi-talented family. God is forgiving. You know, people are forgiving. I hope the man goes on to make more movies. I hope that Chris Rock, heals. Personally, I think he should make a tour and get paid off this whole thing and just have a blast with it. Because as hurtful as it was, he's a comedian. So I hope he can make a lot out of it and we can just move on healthy. And I hope to God that Will Smith gives this man the appropriate, heartfelt, deep apology. I don't want to read any more what your publicist put down on paper. I'm talking about a heartfelt apology for him and his family. That needs to take place. So understand, whatever status you think you have, all of us, we are no longer, get out of the delusional state. Get out of any delusion you have that this work is optional. Throw that out. Now, this is an obligation. We have a war going on in the world. We're watching innocent people lose their lives. Plus what we have to deal with here, casual cruelty, disregard, mind-bending things happening, people walking on stage on a public arena, slapping other people. That is a lot for the soul and the psyche to take. These things need to be processed. We have to ground ourselves every day. Get the plans in place. It doesn't matter how great you are. It doesn't matter that your Mercedes is in the drive. It doesn't matter how big your house is. Mental health is the great equalizer. It's the great equalizer. So you just get into it every day. What are the 4 things? Sheila talked about 3 or 4 things to make sure I do every day to check in with myself, to ground myself, to hold myself accountable. Am I mentoring that coach, the coach within that keeps me accountable? The coach who doesn't deal with any nonsense, the coach that says, hey, if you broke something, fix it. The coach that says, oh, you skipped a walk yesterday. We committed to 4 times a week. The coach just says, better put down the soda and sip some green tea. The coach just says, boy, I didn't plan my breaks. Sheila talked about the Caring Connection calendar. What do I have on my calendar? So the inner voice, we got to get going on that. That's a big takeaway from the slap heard around the world. The third takeaway, if you choose to neglect yourself and your mental health, there will be consequences. There will be consequences. Now, in this case, again, Will Smith, beautiful career. I'll be willing to bet there's going to be financial ramifications. I'm sure endorsements are going to be impacted. Will the directors, will the folks want to hire him eventually? I hope. He may have projects in the works now. I don't know. But there is a shadow cast over the man. And if the shadow is going to be removed, the hand of God will need to come in and do it. It didn't have to happen. It didn't have to happen, but since it did, when life gives lemons, we're doing the juice now. We're going to get the lemonade. So understand, if you want to neglect yourself and your sanity and your mental health, I've seen it many times. All right, I have sat on the foot of the bed, both men and women, and a few times teenagers who neglected their mental health, and they're on a psychiatric unit or have to be out of work, or a relationship ended, knowing full well, because when there's problems, when you're neglecting, things come out and you keep ignoring them, then you hit a wall. So their, relationships gone, life has changed forever. You need to stop. If it costs money, let it cost money. If you need to shut it down, just shut it down. Reasonable people will understand if you need to step away. Reasonable people understand no. Make that a statement of words that you're comfortable with. I tell people, behind every no that you say is two yeses. Behind every no will be two yeses. I love to say yes, but frequently, because of what's going on in life and career and just my priorities, I have to say no. Now, some of the people, very gracious, and they understand, and okay, Sheila, okay, duly noted. Gracious, common sense, understands. Many of these individuals, I'm gonna come back. They say, oh, can you speak at our event? Can you do this? Many of these people, I come back. We stay in touch because they are balanced. I know they're mentally balanced. There's rewards for that. And then there's people that, want to get an attitude, want to show out. Well, you're compromised. That's just what you've announced to me, that you're compromised, and we're just going to move on. So the grace, the graciousness, the humor, the sweetness, the kindness that bubbles up when you're taking care of yourself, these are little rewards. I've seen it many times. I had this happen last year, and I was competing for this huge opportunity, a speaking engagement, and I was not the first pick. And then one of the leaders who was making the decision came back a couple months later and said, Sheila, I was rooting for you on our panel, but it would be an honor if you would come next year. We want to do this set aside event, and you're just lovely to work with. It's only God's grace. I'm not a perfect person. Don't get it twisted. Don't get it wrong. I have plenty to work on, but I see that the more I take care of myself, align with the Spirit, giving God the glory, it just filters back. It filters back for all of us. An attitude. They tell you this is not me. It's in the Bible. You will know the tree by the fruit it bears. And a cheerful heart, and a joyful countenance, and warmth. It is a sign that the angels, the divinity, God is in the mix. So the self-care goes hand in hand with a lot of really yummy rewards. The last takeaway that I want to share, if you have takeaways, by the way, send them through. If I need to do a third video, I will, but I'm just sharing with you some of my greatest takeaways. Is humility is worth striving for. It's worth reaching for. I think about what hit me the hardest, I just, my heart goes out for Chris Rock because he just didn't deserve it. And I think the world has shown him a lot of love, and he has to know it he did nothing to deserve that. But still, this man in front of his peers, darn near 60 years old, and he was slapped. He was slapped by a colleague. The degradation behind it. And we already know in that moment, Will Smith, and may still be extremely compromised. I hope someone is getting him some help. But the bold audacity, the bold audacity, there had to be a part of that that was calculated, because I think if it was The Rock up there making the joke, he would have stayed in his seat. So he chose someone who's physically, maybe in his estimation, an easy target, and just being that far out of any realm of humility, and just any in totally out of proportion with what the Lord has blessed you with in this world. And wow, how dare anyone make a joke about my family when I myself am on social media, putting God knows what out into the ether of the world. So that part is very, very disturbing. So I do pray that Chris Rock will, in great grace, humor, and style, heal. But as I understand, the man in his formative years had some issues around bullying. So this is it's a traumatizing moment. But back to the humility, I think humility is not a destination that we reach. I think grounding ourselves in humility is constant work. It's constant reminders. I know for myself, that's probably my greatest takeaway. And I said, wow, let me just double down in terms of gratitude, in terms of understanding the impact that I have in this world, the impact that I have on people. None of us, you can't hit the mark all the time. And sometimes you can do everything right, and it depends on the person's not able to receive it. I'm dealing with a situation now personally, and it's really sad because the person is just not able to receive the warmth, the love. Doesn't matter what you do, even if you're in humility and love. But we still need to take some time every day to think about the privilege. The first privilege is being on the planet. It's not always an easy place, but you need only go outside and you can be humbled by the greenery, the variety of plants, the animals. I wrote this prayer to God. What I recommend? The prayers that you find online and the traditional prayers are great, but I really recommend everyone write your own prayers too, because those are so powerful. And this prayer is called From Ants to Elephants. And it's literally just a prayer of gratitude about, like, the sheer awe and wonder that on this side over here, I could see this gorgeous butterfly. And then, wait a minute, how is it that dinosaurs walk the earth one day? The magnitude of God's creation and how thoughtful he's been. I think about the variety of dogs. There's all these articles on the internet that they're the most variety of any species is dogs. Why? Because God is so thoughtful. I know that these dogs will be companions to people. So there's all different kinds of people. What I'm going to do for them is make so many varieties of dogs to let them enjoy. Because I deal with my little Yorkie. I take him to the park and I'm like, he's made for me. He's the perfect bundle for me. And any one of you who are dog owners, oh my gosh, this joy was made for me. So I think about things like this, and you can't help but just humble yourself for what you get to be a part of, even if it's a millisecond, because you think about the backdrop of eternity. We're only here it's less than a blink of an eye. But even the thoughtfulness to give us time whether it's 20 years, whether it's 80 years, to give us a little bit of time on this planet and this dimension to experience. That's humbling. And so when you get, to me, what appears double portions of resources, double portions of affinity, double portions of opportunity, the best thing for you to do is close your mouth, walk in humility. If you're going to open your mouth, let it be an advocate for someone else or an advocate for yourself when you need to. But sometimes you can get so much, it's just mind blowing to your life that you've just bypassed the gratitude, the warmth. And again, as I make these videos for all of you, for your joy and edification, I go back and listen as I listen to other YouTubers that I enjoy, reading the books, because the information comes in from so many sources. It's so robust. To me, it's just the Lord opening up different channels to feed us. And there's so many. If this person isn't your style, you can go to this book or this podcast. So even that has been thought of for us. So, long story short, we need to process this, get the takeaways, heal from it. I hope that some of the information I shared has been useful and you just plug it in to your life resilience map. It's been a joy to connect with you. I'll be back really soon with some more uplifting content. This has been Auntie Sheila. Yes, we are all connected. See you soon.